Welcome to Supercharge Your Auction Fundraiser. I'm Tricia from riskfreeitemshop.com. I'm the CEO and co-founder, and I'm excited to be collaborating with DoJiggy. I have Lisa Bennett here and from DoJiggy. So do you want to say hi?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining.
And today we're going to be talking about a couple different things. You know, we're at the height of auction season. Maybe some of you already had it, you're wrapping up, but there's some goodies in here that you might want to think about, because at the end of the day is, you know, we're talking about auction fundraising, but we're really talking about fundraising in general. And how can we help you really utilize from best practices to AI, which we'll cover. I trust me, it's not spooky. And then talk about the risk-free item shop. So today we're going to hit a couple different things, and maybe, you know, hopefully you walk away with some helpful nuggets. So the first thing we're going to kind of look at is, how do you craft a compelling auction event? You know, auctions are just set up for this nature that we have inside of us to compete and to win. So, I mean, we know that's like, either there's Olympics or playing games with your kids. There's just this innate desire in us to like, I want to win. And so auctions really obviously set you up for that. But there are some pieces to that. How can you really maximize that? How can you craft an event that's going to really capture that competitive spirit and raise more money, which is what we all want, right? So one of the things I'd like to point out is that there's a donor mindset, right? We don't talk about this too much, but what is that donor mindset? You know, you have a mindset wherever you go. Like, you go to a party, you have a mindset for that party. When you go to some, you know, type of event, there's something you're expecting or that you're hoping to happen. And when it comes to fundraising, and in auctions in particular, donors have kind of three key buying and bidding criteria that they have in their mind, right? One is that they're looking for something that they might have purchased anyways, right? This is where it's like, okay, I was going to spend money there, but I'd love to do that within the context of this organization. The other is they approach an auction with, maybe there's a once in a lifetime, you know, experience or an item. I don't even know what I'm looking for, but maybe there's something I can't live without. So I think, you know, I'm going to be open to that. Or maybe they're looking for something that's a good deal. Like, okay, that's like a good deal. That's a good price. I know that that's worth more. So they're going to put their bidding in. These three things actually can be three separate people that come in from different perspectives on this, or it's one person that has, I'm open to all of these. But taking this into account is actually really important, because this becomes really how you're going to structure your event and how it's actually going to relate to all the different people that are attending. When you are including a mix of items that speak to this buying criteria, it's going to do a couple things for you. It's going to generate more bidding, and obviously then more revenue, and it's going to delight your donors. That's that piece that we all want, is like, we want to raise more money, but we want our donors to be excited and be like, yeah, we're so going to that one again, or we're so attending that one online again, because it was fun. And there were some really key pieces that kind of brought that all together. When we look at where we source items, right? There's our donated items, and then there's this category of risk-free. And we're going to dive into that. Obviously, our shop is all about risk-free items, so we're going to talk more in depth about what it is. But in terms of sourcing items, it's like, if you see across this little blue banner here, I have those different bidding and buying criteria. And so we kind of look at how they map to the different ways of sourcing items. A good deal is something that you're typically going to find in your donated items, right? Here is like, maybe there's some services, you know, carpet cleaning, or really fantastic gift baskets, gift cards to your favorite restaurants. You get the idea. So this is generally, right, what we're all looking at in terms of donated items. Sometimes we get lucky and somebody has some cabin, you know, in France, or I mean, not a cabin in France, cabin on the beach or woods or whatever it is, but that's not the usual, right? That's not the norm. And so as we look at these donated items, this is where the good deal happens, because this is your bread and butter. You can have a more accessible price point, so you're going to get those people that are excited about that good deal. Something they would have been likely to purchase anyway, that can fall in either category, right? So obviously, oh, we love that restaurant, we want to go, absolutely, we're totally going to bet on that. Or, you know what, I love to buy jewelry for myself, or we're going to go to Mexico anyways. So you can look at something they would like to purchase anyways can fall into these two different categories. But the once in a lifetime experiences, the real hard to source, how do you find these? What we say the wow factor. This is something that exclusively is in that risk-free item space, because you're looking at, okay, here's a chateau in Normandy for 10. well, no, don't know where I'd ever find that, but it's here. And maybe we have a family reunion. Maybe that's something that we want to do, or it's that piece of memorabilia. I'm a Cowboys fan, so that's why you see the Dak Prescott helmet there. But I'm just like, what is it that you know is authentic? I don't have to worry. I got this on eBay. Is it real? You know, this is that type of thing where you can really source that. Or maybe it's driving your own NASCAR. Who gets to do that? So these are the rare, the unique, the one-of-a-kinds, not sold in stores, exclusive type things. And so when you mix all these together, you can really see how this plays out for structuring your event. One of the questions that we get is, well, what is the right ratio of, you know, kind of our donated items to risk-free? When we have someone that puts like 35 risk-free items in their cart, we're like, okay, let's talk through this and really see, like, what are you planning to do with this? What is the balance that you have? How many people are coming to your event? All these things play in, right? But here's just a general structure that we usually recommend, is that if you look at this triangle here, you see the donated items. This is the big one, right? You know, you have your sources for that. This is the majority of your items. These are the ones that are pure profit. So this should make up the bulk of your event. Some of your items, right, should be more of those accessible things that people would have bought anyway. This is where that trip to Mexico or the Disneyland or jewelry kind of really fit in, right? And then a few of your items, think about that recipe. It's like you're going to put just a little of this particular ingredient in just to give it that extra something. That's your specialty risk-free items. This is the chateau. This is the hot air balloon, or the, you know, driving the NASCAR. These are the types of things that, you know, they add to your event. And so holistically, when you look at that, when you have this kind of ratio, now you are appealing to different price points. You're appealing to different bidding and buying criteria. And so the psychological kind of meets the budget and the interest, and you have this all together. One of the exceptions to that, and I'll talk about that at the very end very briefly, is themed auctions. Something that's super great. This is the subset, right? So maybe it's, I have, you know, an auction event and I invite everybody in my database. That's what this is about. The themed auction, and here we have an example of a jewelry auction. This is great for risk-free because maybe you're going to target all the women, or you're going to target a certain, you know, demographic or whatever within that. And these can be, you know, fully risk-free items, nothing to lose. But this is definitely something that you're very targeted. So themed auctions are a little bit different. One of the other questions that we get a lot too is, how many items should I have? And it really, you know, does it matter whether it's in person or if it's online? At the end of the day, it's like you still got people and they're engaging with you, but there's bidding units. Okay, remember bidding units. Say you have 100 people that are going to be attending. How do you find the actionable people that are going to be bidding, right? Couples tend to bid together, even if they're on separate devices, right? They have a budget that they're working against. And so we call these bidding units. So when you're looking at like particularly a silent auction, and for some type of, you know, whether it's a live event or whether it's an online event, what is the right number of items? So we generally say divide however many people you're going to have by 2. And then divide how many items you have by that number. So if we have 100 and we divide that by 2 is 50, and divide that by 2 is 25. Account for some of the people that might be bidding on their own or individuals. Generally speaking, 25 items, you know, would work in this scenario. And you can see how this can scale up or down. So always look for those bidding units so that you don't have too many items, because too many items means lower bids. And as well as too many items, you don't get bids because there's just too many things to choose from. So these are all really just important points that you probably know, but these are just some helpful formulas to keep in mind. One of the big things that we're constantly telling our nonprofits is get to know your audience. And how do you do that? You know, before AI, this tool that we have that's free in the shop, it's really fantastic. And I'm going to get into what that looks like. Before that, it was really like, you know, phone calls or emails and trying to dialogue or meeting them. But how do you get to know your database? So we had an organization called Red Mill Museum Village, and they came to us a few years ago, and they were like, you know, we really haven't been raising as much money in the last few years, and we're not really sure why. We've kind of had the same event every year, and it used to do really well, but I'm not really sure what's going on. And we said, you know what, we have this thing called a donor intelligence report. It's a free report. And all you have to do is take all the people that, you know, you have signed up to come to your event, or people in your database, whatever, let's put them in there and run a report. What this report is, and here's an example of that. It's going to show you kind of this aggregate of who your database is, right? Generally speaking, you can actually drill down. There's a pink button here that you can drill down. I'll show you this when we're in the shop. But it's going to give you an overview of how, demographic, how old they are, where they live, what their interests are, even what their top 10 interests are. So the first year they ran this report and they were like, oh my goodness, we had no idea that our database has really turned over and most of the people in there are under 40. And so they're like, well, we've been kind of structuring an event for a much older audience. And so they actually not only kind of restructured the kind of look and feel of their event, but then they raised, the first year they raised 43% more, and the second year they raised 51% more. And they added packages from the risk-free item shop that were about kind of cool experiences. So they actually had the NASCAR and they had the Kentucky Derby and the CMA Awards and some of these kind of like fun things. And they sold all of them at a great price. And so they came back and went, oh, wow, I can see how this really worked. So that idea of being able to understand their audience better, not only to influence their event or just even influence the items that they had, really produced more revenue for them across the board. And I will tell you more about that when we look into the shop. Let's talk about risk-free items. So if you've never heard of risk-free is simply, they're goods that are offered by a third party specifically for nonprofits, right? They are in business because they are looking to help you raise more money and engage your donors. Maybe you have heard of risk-free. Maybe you've used it before and you're like, well, that was a confusing experience, or I didn't really like it. We have been working with nonprofits for a long time. And one of the things that we heard along the way was, I really wish that I understood how to utilize risk-free. I get that it's a free resource, but that can be a little confusing. So we're going to get into that in a bit here of like how to really utilize that. But just think about the concept itself is fantastic because it's a free resource for you where you can source vacations, experiences, jewelry, memorabilia, and there's no upfront cost. There's no payment. The only thing you do is if you sell it, you're going to pay for that item, but there's no risk to you. And that's why we call it the risk-free item shop. We find that our organizations across the board, when they utilize risk-free, they raise 20% more revenue, and which is so easy to be able to add something in there. Some that's going to help you raise more money. One of the objections that we get sometimes off the bat is, well, I don't know if I want to use risk-free because if we put in a risk-free item, we're still having to pay for it. And then our donor just paid, say, $4,000 for a trip, and they're going to think all that money went to us, then they're not going to give us the money. We actually found that's not true because most households have like a purchase category and they have a donation budget, right? So they approach an auction, like if you have a raise a paddle or fund a need or whatever, they're still going to donate to that. But here's just an easy way to utilize risk-free and feel confident that everybody is on the same page by adding this little line right here. If you're going to utilize a risk-free item, put in, this item is offered by a third party. Our organization will receive a portion of the sale proceeds. And now you're covered. So not really an issue, but if you just want to have that extra security of kind of knowing that your donors understand about this items and how much money you're going to get, you can always add that in. We've been kind of talking through the benefits as we've gone in, but the benefits of risk-free items is, again, you're going to have that wider variety, access to a wider variety of items, right? That are going to be able to then hit all those different interests and price points and bidding criteria. You're going to have access to those luxury items that otherwise, how would you source? You're not going to have to pay anything up front. You're going to be able to raise more money. You're going to delight your donors. And if done right, you're going to save time and resources. And that's the one area where it's like, we have people say, well, when I put in risk-free items, there's like all these companies that come up. Yeah. And the question is, how do I know who to trust? How do I know who's going to have great customer service? How do I know these packages are actually going to be what they say they are? And that can be hard. And so, we came up with the idea to do the shop about 5 years ago. And we were like, what if we were to put this into a context that took the best of the best, right? So we kind of went out and, vetted this across all these different companies and like, we're just going to take the packages that we know that sell well. We're going to put in packages that are within a price point that we know you have an opportunity to raise money. and that it's trusted, that there's donor reviews. So we do all that back work, and we decided, like, let's put this into an e-commerce kind of shop. Like, we all like to shop online, right? So it's as if you can shop on Amazon or Banana Republic or whatever else, you can utilize the shop. So we built this, and we were like, but you know what? You can go through the whole process and feel like you're shopping, but you're not even going to put in a credit card or anything. You're just going to give us your name and email, and then we're actually going to work as the liaison to talk to the item providers. One of the things that we, would hear a lot is like, well, I don't want to have to call an item provider because then I'm going to get upsold and I have to tell them what packages. I don't want to have to do that. So that takes that whole equation out. How it works is here, 4 steps. And this is on the site. So when you click on, and Lisa says that it's on the template. So if you were to create a template, and if I'm butchering this, Lisa, please jump in. But if you're on Digigain, you're going to create a template, create your auction, you can utilize a template. And there is a way to actually just click the button and you're going to come and land right here. If not, you can just contact their sales department and they will point you in the right direction to access the shop. So how it works, 4 steps here. You're going to select items and you are going to put them in your cart. Once you've selected all the items you want, you're going to go through this really simple checkout process I'll show you, and no payments due. Right after you go through the checkout, this is what's kind of cool here too, is that you can actually download the marketing materials. So you'll have access to the photos and the detailed descriptions. So you'll be able to get that right off the bat, having gone through the shop. And then you don't have to call anybody because we're going to actually contact the item providers, and they are the step 3. They're going to contact you in like 2 business days and say, hey, you chose these items. Great. Here's how it works. And here's how we bill you and all that good stuff. And then after the conclusion of your event, they're going to come back and go, hey, so anything sold? And then you tell them, and then they'll bill you and they facilitate that to your winners. So it's a very streamlined process. So let's look at the shop here. If you scroll down, you can just kind of infinity scroll all the way through and see all the different types of items that we offer. But the best way to shop for items is to look at all these different categories. We have a best sellers category, which is really useful for you, right? Because this is like, we keep updating this. So whatever we know is just doing really well, and people, it's kind of popular, right? Like Taylor Swift is blowing up right now, right? I think the Taylor Swift piece is in everybody's cart, I swear, for the last month. So it's kind of like, what's the seasonality? what are the things that are the best sellers? And so, like this Mexico trip is a big one. Like, this is one that everybody should have in their cart. It's the lowest, one of the lowest price packages, but it sells for a lot higher. So best sellers is always great to check out. You can look at beach, you can look at, food and wine. And when we talk about the AI report, and we'll get to that, so you can actually see their top 10 interests, that's a great way to go, oh, okay, so if there's food or wine on that list of top 10 interests, I'm going to come back and I'm going to actually shop for some packages that work for that. And this actually plays into, getting gift baskets or getting things donated that really correspond with these categories. And all the way here, back over here to memorabilia, music, art, sports. And then you can also do this by price category, right? It's helpful when you're looking at like, okay, so if I want to add some risk-free, travel, add a couple, right? It doesn't cost you anything, but it's like things tend to sell better in groups, right? So travel is definitely one of like 3, right? Have a lower price, have a mid-priced, have a super specialty one. They play off each other. And so it's no risk to you at all. But it definitely gives people kind of this excitement of like, okay, which one could I bid on? Jewelry is another one. We actually sell our jewelry through Jewels with a Purpose. And I don't know if you ever heard about them before, but they are amazing. I'm actually wearing their cross today. They have been serving the nonprofit community for 20 years, and they just have a heart for nonprofits. So what they've done is put together these fundraising packages, like all the different items they know sell the best. And if it's an online auction to an in-person, whatever it is, you can just source this as a package and then showcase them together. Again, they sell better in a group. So these are just kind of some tips to think about when you're looking at sourcing items. But you can definitely do that by category, different price points. So it makes it just really easy. Let's go ahead and actually just click on one here. I'm going to go to beach, right? It's getting colder in certain parts of the country. I wish it was colder here. Some of you are lucky enough where it snows. So some people are thinking about beaches. So if we look at the beach, let's see. One of the ones that I wanted to show you is this one right here. Let's see, beachfront Mexico. This is actually the lowest priced price package in the shop, and I have seen this one go for $3,000. All you pay is $895, but it's such an accessible price point. So think back to that bidding criteria of like, that's a good deal, or we wanted to go to Mexico anyways. This is a great one that kind of fits those two buckets, and I think that's why it does so well. But when you click any of the different pictures in the shop, it's going to bring you to a product page, right? Here you can see all the pictures that are associated with that particular package. You can read all about it. You can see exactly what the experience includes. There's always some related packages, suggestions for you there. But if you want to request that, you just go ahead and add to cart, okay? You get a verification that that's in your cart, and you're like, okay, well, I want to keep shopping here. So maybe we have golfers, right? You have golfers in your group, and you're like, let's go for the Fairmont Scottsdale. Again, same thing. You can see the different pictures that are associated. These are the pictures you'll be able to download and be able to feature on your online platform. And of course, the description here. I'm going to actually just put that on my card as well, and I'm going to check out. Okay, super easy. You get to your order review page and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, am I good with this? Yeah, I think I am. You don't actually even need to worry about the quantity because you can sell these as multiples. So that's not an issue. But let's just say, okay, we're done and we want to check out. The checkout is super easy. I'm actually going to go through it so I can just show you how it works all the way through. So you're going to put that, you're going to put your name. And I'm just length of time here, and I'm going to put Do Jiggy. Okay, so you would have put your company name there. You click continue. All right, does everything look good? Yes, place order. Once you place the order, it's going to direct you to this page, you're going to get this pop that says, please download your item information on this confirmation page. If you look for the orange little button, say download, you can't miss it. You would just click download. And this is actually going to download a PDF. So I'm going to open this up. Lisa, if you could just give me a nod if you can see this. Can you see the PDF? Okay, let's just share that because this is important. Here we go. Okay, now you can see it. Okay, so for every package in the store, when it says download, you're going to get this PDF. And so here you have this package is offered by Charity Ace, right? So a Charity Ace representative is going to reach out to you within 2 business days to fulfill your request. This is the item provider at the back end who's now going to be already informed that you put this order through, and they're going to contact you. If you scroll down, you can see that there's a link here. If I click this link, it's going to take me to a Dropbox where I'm going to be like, here's your photos, here's your detailed descriptions, here's a winner certificate that you can email to your winners right afterwards as that whole process of getting the voucher to them is happening. You can see the charity cost. This is what you're going to pay, $895, and the retail value is $2,000. Again, I've seen this one go for a lot more, but it really kind of just depends on your audience and their interests. But this is a great one to have. On the second page of every PDF, we have pricing recommendations. This is important, and I'm going to come back to this after we exit the shop so that we can talk about the importance of pricing. This is where some people are like, well, I just did it at the charity cost. No, because that's what you're going to pay. You want to build in a margin. So we'll talk about that. But this is that little PDF you're going to get, and then you are good to go. Go ahead and share my screen again here. Okay, so I want to go back to the shop, and I'd like to show you the donor intelligence report. Okay, so remember when I was talking about that, the Red Mill Museum and how they ran this report? The donor intelligence report is a free resource. It's on the shop. You can either access it here in the navigation, or there's a little reminder right here. Either way, it's going to take you to this page. So smart source items for your next fundraiser. We kind of call this kind of smart sourcing, because now you've got some intel on, how you're going to choose items. When we say the words AI, sometimes it kind of sounds scary, like, well, what is AI? And, it's really just a tool. And in this case, we're utilizing it to get information about your donors so that you can actually really tailor an auction event that's around them. One of the questions that we get is that, well, if I upload donor data, is someone going to contact them? How do I know that this is, it's safe and all that type of thing? We take that very seriously. And so does DoJiggy. And so we've been vetted by them. We've actually vetted our third party. This is all they do. They run different predictive analytics for nonprofits. And so your data is safe. There's something called SOC 2 compliance. It's the highest level compliance that you can have to protect donor data. So you can just rest assured that that's not an issue. So all you have to do to generate your report is click this button. Let's just take a little look more in depth at the report itself, though. So when you download either from your CRM, or maybe you've had some events on your DoJiggy platform and you could just download that data, you're going to be able to upload that, and it's going to, within 5 minutes, produce this report for you. Okay. Here are the different areas of the report. You can be able to see financial insights, right? You'll be able to see what is the average giving, kind of in this tier of wealth ratings and ask amounts. This is going to be really useful for if you're having that raise a paddle or fund in need or whatever it is. You're going to be able to see key demographics, right? So it's good to know, how many people, remember back to that kind of, bidding units, like how many people, if you have 80% married, that you're going to have to really, do these calculations to go, okay, how many people are attending and how many bidding units, kind of couples do we have? So this is just really, again, useful insights. This is the best right here for donor interest, right? The report is actually going to aggregate all the interests that are represented in your database and put them into a top 10 list. So here we have number one for this particular group was domestic travel. And then we had cooking all the way to music, sports. We had tennis was in the top 10. We actually have the tennis US Open package. So, you can kind of, again, see, oh, okay, I can go resource that. How do you find stuff for tennis? So these different interests that are going to come up, food and wine was number 6. Again, we had a lot of food and wine. So, there are going to be some interests here that might not be represented, but for the most part, the shop is going to have a lot of these different items that are going to correspond to the interest of your donor group. Back up at the top, we have something called predictive analytics, this pink button. This is where if you want to get really drilled down, you want to know who your major donors are. You want to know how much they donated. You want to know kind of what their spending is. This is a predictive to tell you how much they will actually spend. It's not just historical. What's cool about this is that, our circumstances change so much. I mean, look at the economy for the last few years. Our circumstances all change. Maybe I, had one job this year, I have a different one, or I sold my house, or whatever it is. And so financial situations can change as well. And so just going on historical data is not as helpful. And so that's why we love this idea of predictive data, because it not only takes the historical into account, but then really looks at kind of what the propensity is for these people, how much they'll donate. So this is really useful. And if you want to utilize that, it's 20 cents a record. But otherwise, the report is totally free. Generational breakdown. This is important too, because this is going to tell you, like in this case, this particular organization is mostly baby boomers and Gen X. But again, like going back to Red Mail, like it was mostly Gen X. So this is a really useful thing for you to be able to understand in terms of, okay, so who are my people? How do I communicate with them? Which leads me into this last part here, which is really cool. How do they want to be do they want to be communicated with, right? If you're all about wanting to do direct mail is really expensive. Find out if that's exactly how they like to be communicated with, because maybe they're all about email, right? Or text. Or they really want to be called, or whatever it is. This little list here is going to be able to really identify in terms of kind of this hierarchy of their communication preferences. And as we're looking to really maximize donor engagement and your dollars, this is a very useful thing to know. So if you click on generate the report, it's going to bring you to this little screen here. And it's literally 3 steps. You're going to download our CSV template. Okay, so download that and then take your donor data and copy it into the template. It's super easy. Then you're going to input these, your name, your first name, last name, email, and your organization name into these boxes. And once you do that, then the final step is this bar here is going to change color, and you're going to be able to just upload that CSV file template. It takes about 5 minutes to produce. Once it's done, it's going to pop up on your screen, and you're able to either save it to your desktop, but it's also going to send you a link via email so you can share it out. So really straightforward, but a very useful tool. So you can see how that would then be really helpful in terms of choosing items. So if you're going to use the AI report, do that before you choose items. All right, let's go ahead and get back to our presentation and just kind of wrap it up here with strategic pricing. Again, a huge component of utilizing risk-free in the right way. So what we typically recommend is a 20% margin built in. So that's your starting bid, right? So if we're looking at, these are the 2 trips that I had selected. So the beachfront Mexico trip, your cost is going to be $895. We recommend anything under $2,500, right? So either 20% or $500, whichever is more. So in this case, just tack on $500, right? Anything under $2,500, just tack on $500, make that your starting bid, $1,395. We know for sure that this formula works. We have seen this work for the entire time we've had the shop. And this way, you're able to build in that margin. So if only one person bids on it, you've made $500. And above that, you've made a lot more. If we're looking at a more expensive trip, say the Fairmont Scottsdale, which the opening bid is, the charity cost is $25.95. Here we're going to do 20%, right? So it's $31.14. That's what you're going to start with. We have nonprofits go, but are you sure? Don't we have to go, that's too much? It isn't, because the value of that package is there, the retail value. And you want to be able to elevate that price point so that people actually have a higher perceived value of the trip itself. You're going to have a hard time getting to that retail value if you start too low, and then you're not going to build in money. So this is a really important, just kind of like to wrap it up when you're using risk-free to really do the strategic pricing. And again, we have recommendations for that for all of the items that you download. The last thing I wanted to cover is, how do you think outside the main event, right? So maybe you have one online auction per year, but there's different ways to utilize risk-free to make money all year long. Lisa was actually talking about, before we started, there's that Dujiggy does a lot of raffles. You can do a raffle. You can choose any of these different items, no risk to you, and feature that as the raffle prize. You can do any type of smaller, like it doesn't even have to be an auction. You could do a small fundraiser throughout the year. But here are some that our nonprofits have done and that have worked out really well for them. This is for a subset. Let's look at this vacation for a cause, right? So say you know who your major donors are, right? And you're like, we're going to have a vacation for a cause, and you do your marketing and you let them know that there's going to be all kinds of great vacations and experiences that they can choose from. Put that into your auction platform, send that out. And that's just a really fun way to have, maybe that's something you want to do in the spring. Or in February, when everybody's like, we're really bored and it's February, let's think about something exciting we want to do this year. So kind of being strategic about when you do that. The Father's Day auction I thought was really clever too. This one was a golf themed auction. How do you source golf items? Sometimes that can be hard. Maybe you're actually going to have a golf event, or maybe it's just, hey, it's Father's Day. Maybe it's a sports one. Utilizing risk-free to kind of bring some different items in, again, to your online platform, marketing that and sending that out is another great way to raise money. When other nonprofits aren't doing anything, you're going to come in here and be top of mind, say in June. Right. And another fun one, I love this one, is a Mother's Day themed mini auction. And again, this can be virtual. So you've got, it's Mother's Day. You can do this anytime during the month of May. But you just, get one of those packages and put that all up on your online platform. And again, it really comes down to the marketing and just making sure everybody stands like, this is your opportunity to buy some fabulous jewelry. So there's just really different fun ways to do that. I mean, Christmas is coming up. There's no reason why you couldn't go into the shop and pick a few items and put that on your platform and send that out as a virtual link and be like, hey, you know what, we're looking to raise some money for the end of the year, and we have these 3 fabulous different, packages that we're featuring. It's a very easy way to just kind of keep that. You get the idea going throughout the year. That is the presentation that I have for today. And hopefully, understand a little bit more about risk-free, and you can get excited about, let's go check out that shop and see how you can utilize that. But I'd love to open it up to questions. Actually see one question here. Can the bidder find these charity prices anywhere else, meaning online? No, they cannot. So we offer destination hotel packages that we could purchase for less on hotel sites. And that's always a thing, right? I mean, the thing to keep in mind here, it's like if someone wants to build their own, travel, that's really not in competition with them wanting to purchase this at your auction, right? So one, we source items, you don't have access to the charity cost. That's why with these other different types of item providers, you have to call to find out, right? Here, everything is hidden. So there's no way for them to even access the shop to find out. Any other questions? Well, if you have any questions that come up, you can always email us at support@riskfreeitemshop.com. I encourage you to go visit the shop so that you can, find it, get access to that, and you can see that our email is there anytime. Okay, so we have 2 more questions that came in. Do you have to purchase, or can you wait to purchase once you've secured the bid? So when you're utilizing the shop, you're not really purchasing anything. You're requesting these packages. So it's not really purchasing. What you're doing is you're putting all of these different items in your cart that you want to utilize. The item provider is going to reach out to you and they're going to say, okay, you're good to go. You only pay for them if you've sold them. Okay. So you don't need to worry about that at all. Can we see this video again later? Yes, it is recorded and Lisa will have that. And so Jujigi will make that available to you. Lisa, is there anything you wanted to?
I just wanted to say thank you. This was very informational. I loved how you went over the mindset of the bidder. I think that's something that's really important. And, how many items and how many of these more high value items. Sometimes when I talk to people, they say, well, we're getting items donated. So, just to have that understanding, definitely you still want to have a lot of donated items, but this takes your auction to a different level. That's why we said this is to really supercharge your auction. And just by selling 1 or 2 of these, you can make as much money as you made off of a lot of those donated items that take a lot more legwork to go around and get. But again, like Tricia said, are a lot more accessible and, provide the number of items that you need for this type of event. So thank you. The reason that, we started partnering with these guys, they're very hands-on, and that's how we are at Dujigi as well. So, we are here to support you through this. If you have any questions or anything, of course, we have everything available online, but feel free to jump on the phone and, we will help you through it. And as we can see, Tricia has a lot of experience and expertise with that. So, feel free to do that as well. And I just wanted to say, timeline, we can do this really quickly. As you were saying, it's here we are. It's time, Giving Tuesday is coming right up here, and year-end appeals. But at Dujigi, you guys hopefully know you can get campaigns set up the same day. And do you want to talk just a little bit, Tricia? I mean, how quickly, you said that, we'll be contacted within 2 or 3 days, and then we can go live with these, right? As far as that goes.
No,
Yeah,
honestly,
so
I mean, we've had people are like, well, my auction's this weekend. Can I utilize versus free? Absolutely. You know, if you're looking to have anything shipped to you, then, you know, the item providers need a little bit more time, like a week. But if you're having a virtual auction, even if it starts tonight, you can actually go on the shop, select what you want. And then that's why we provide the marketing materials so that you're able to quickly be able to get that uploaded onto your site. And you don't need to wait for the item provider to come back and say, oh, you're good to go. You are good to go. We're doing that back work for you. So when the item provider comes back to you, all they're doing is going, okay, hey, here's this agreement. You said if you sell these items at auction, these are the ones you want. Here's how we're going to bill you. And so you're really good to go once you get your items. And I got two more questions that came in. Let's see. What donor information do you need to make AI work? So for AI, it's really simple. I mean, you'll see this on our template. You just need their name, their first, last name, and their email. If you have their phone number, that's actually really helpful too. That just kind of boosts that, the ability to get more information. But actually, it's just those 3 points is really all you need. Okay, actually, there's a couple more questions that have come in here. Can we see this video? We had said yes. Can we get a copy of this in print? I'm happy to make that available as well. So we'll send that over. Jennifer wrote, thinks I'm thinking for smaller organizations, this would be a huge draw, but they have smaller budgets. You know, your organization may have smaller budgets. You just never know who in your organization has the larger budgets or not. And this is one thing that can be really useful if you're running the AI report, to pay that 20 cents a record and be able to see, oh, okay, you know, I've had organizations go, I had no idea these people could have been giving way more, but no one ever, and when they reached out to them, people were like, yeah, we're happy to give more. You just never asked. So, you know, being able to know that you can drill in and then have, you know, items that are actually at a higher price point. But there are some great options here. In fact, that's what, look in that under $1,600 category. There's a lot of great packages, and the jewelry is very accessible. So it's very accessible price points. Let's see, are the real items shipped to us or the winner? Okay, great question. So if say you're going to be featuring jewelry online, actually, after the auction, they're going to come back to you and go, okay, who won? You will pay for the items that sold, and then they're going to actually ship those directly to your winners. If it's a travel voucher, again, once you pay the item provider, they're going to actually send that travel voucher directly to your winner. So everything happens virtually, whether it's memorabilia or whether it's jewelry or packages. All you have to do is feature it and be in communication and provide the item provider the information that they need, and then they're going to actually have that shipped. Did I cover everything? I
think so, yes.
I think we did. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Jiggy, and just thank you all. Have a happy
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, everyone. We're here if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Bye-bye.